This is here the updated Volvo XC90 in the high T8 trim. But the main question is, a vehicle that is essentially 10 years old, can it still keep up with the other competitors, or is that the exact reason why it's still relevant and good? We're going to find out here. It's Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with our updated XC90. First of all, this is here the dark styling. There you can see the dark front grille. You can also get a bright styling if you rather prefer that. I think both work very well. And this facelift here gives us this new front grille, also from the structure, then also a new front hood, a cleaner design, so to speak, and also more in line to the other new models. Matrix LED is now standard. And this is here the typical Thor's Hammer daytime running light design. Vapor gray, our color here for today, a very striking color. I really love it, but they have other nice colors as well. We also had another vehicle earlier when we drove the first engine, soon more to the engines and stuff. Length here 4 meters 95 or 195 inches. This has not changed, of course. Wheels from 20 to 22 inch. These here are 20-inch wheels in this combination and here with winter tires, because we are today here in the Bavarian Alps with a beautiful landscape around us and also very fitting to this vehicle, definitely. And the old school thing about this vehicle is, you can see it here in the side profile, we have these upright windows, a boxy styling, and I just love the styling. Yes, it's not the most aerodynamic. That's why the newer SUVs are, of course, in this more aerodynamic shape, or everyone goes for SUV coupe shape and so on. But this is a classic SUV styling. That's what I like about this vehicle. New upgraded tech here as well, because we have frequency adaptive dampening as standard. So this is the base suspension. So if you go for a low trim model, you will also feel the difference most in comparison to the predecessor pre-facelift. Optional, also equipped with this vehicle here today, the adaptive air suspension. And last time we picked the base suspension to give you a report on that. Today then the higher trim vehicle with the air suspension, so you can also compare both vehicles. The rear typical here with the vertical shape, that's also pretty cool. So overall this, let's say, this exterior conservative design is to me something where I say, hey, yeah, it's an older core vehicle, and I do appreciate that, you know what I mean? In lower part, also clean design, no fake exhaust whatsoever. And the T8 here today, the plug-in hybrid version, 5.4 seconds in the acceleration figure. So this is then the quickest one, at least when it's properly charged. And talking about the charging, so the battery has not been upgraded. That's something I would have wished for with the facelift. So it's only around 15 kilowatt hours net usable size, and charging is AC 6.4 kilowatt only. That's of course really slow. It's more meant to be, hey, you use it together with the wallbox at home, plug it in and so on. Interesting also that the all-wheel drive system here is different from the other models. So first of all, let me open this one. Oh, there it is. So with the T8 you have an electric all-wheel drive, so the electric motor sits at the rear axle and that makes it an all-wheel drive. Even if the battery is kind of depleted, they always leave a small buffer that, for example, in situations where you really need the all-wheel drive, you're like stuck somewhere, you always have all-wheel drive available. It's just that it's getting the power then from the combustion engine. And talking about the combustion engine, we have it here in the front, and yeah, they always have this there it is, funny opening mechanism right here. This one, this little bit weirdo opening mechanism, honestly. And they always use 2-liter 4-cylinders, petrol engines. Here also for the T8. And as I said, this one here, the quickest one with 5.4 seconds in the acceleration figure. Last time we had the B5, there's the B5 and the B6. These are now mild hybrid engines with 250 or 300 horsepower. B6 not available in all markets, for example, not on the German market. And later on, when we finish this review, you can also check out the other engine then in our other review. But yeah, very interesting here with the changes. Subtle, but they make sense. I think the only change that is missing with this facelift is really that the battery should have been upgraded here for the plug-in hybrid model. Now to the interior with the key fob, which is nothing special, honestly, so that could be better. But the door closing sound, it's really nice and solid, both front and also in the rear. Also the whole door feels really solid, and very important upgrades here also, because for 1,000 euro extra you can now get a dual insulation pack for the windows. And we can see it right here. So this is a very good option to bring down the noise level, and they also added some more dampening foam at some parts of the vehicle, also bringing down the noise level. And here, this option here, this €1,000 option, is also then for the rear windows, so it's on both sides, in front and rear. And this really performed already quite well in the B5 test we had recently. Nice here with the small snowflakes, right? Like a dreamy atmosphere. Then inside of the doors, nice leatherette covering on the top part. Then we have the bright wood, the birch style. I love that, so beautiful. Optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This is a very costly option, but honestly, it's the best sound system I know on the market. With the Gothenburg Concert Hall setting, it's awesome, really. The only thing here, lower inside part of the door. I mean, it's not a fabric, but at least it's some structure, so it looks nice. It's not. We've seen way worse, but maybe some fabric would have been cool here at the inside covering. This is the famous German Parkuhr, by the way. So if you do not use that while parking, when it's indicated, not everywhere, you directly go to German jail. Then here the leatherette steering wheel, so also animal-free. This is very good. Can applaud Volvo for that. Just one click here to the left side. You can deactivate the speed limit chime, for example. That's also cool. So real buttons here at the steering wheel. Then you also have this leatherette covering of the dashboard. Beautiful. How it feels, how it looks. Once again, the bright here, some fabric. So I love these details. And then seats. These are the optional weave seats. So it's a fabric seat in blue. And I think they look pretty cool. They feel really nice. Not everyone is a fan of fabric seat, but I can say they are cool looking, they are comfortable, and also they stay cool in summer and don't. So they do not get hot in summer and do not get so cold in winter times like now. And that's a pretty cool thing. But if you prefer something else, there's also a high grade leatherette available. We had that last time. You can then wipe it clean easier if you rather prefer that styling. Different colors are available. Only optionally, they still offer animal skin, but in most configurations, this car will be animal free. And also the leatherette has like a bio-based share, so Volvo really going forward in that direction. Can only applaud them for that. Here with 189, 6'2", still have some headroom left, although this is the one also with the panoramic roof. And this is still one you can actually really open, and we rarely have that these days. Besides that, we also have a nice microfiber headliner here in this vehicle. That's also cool. So the interior details in this vehicle, I can just say, are fantastic. You can also apply a real shade here when it's like a really, really sunny day. Then the whole shade that comes there. And the only thing that, it's a slider here on the top part. That's maybe the thing I don't like that much. What I find cool again, that you have this frameless back mirror. That is nice as well. And also here, you can see like no big black bezel around it. And here also the sun visor, sun blinds, they have a leatherette covering. So they're not just plain black plastic. However, you cannot extend them. So pro and contra. Then in this case, the steering wheel, by the way, here manual, but I'm absolutely fine with that. And you can find like inside up and so on, find a good position. It's a relatively small steering wheel for such a large vehicle, but that makes it also feel a little bit sporty, so to speak. Then from this perspective, you can see more of this beautiful leatherette dashboard. That's I mean, we rarely see these nowadays, And then the Bowers & Wilkins sound system has another speaker here on the top, for example. Fabric inset, and then more of this bright wood here. That's also beautifully done. The glove box, by the way, you still have a real button for that. That's cool to have. And then it's also falling down in a very smooth way. With this facelift, main update for the interior is here, this new screen, 11-inch. It now comes more towards you. It's not integrated anymore. Design-wise, maybe a stacked backboard, but that way you can make it larger, and you also have an Android backend, and that means also you have a Google Maps built in. This is real Google Maps here, and that's of course cool because they know what they're doing, and you have it just integrated, and then you can use it directly and not just rely on the phone connection. But still, phone connection, Apple CarPlay is still available here if you prefer that. The only thing I do not like with the system for the temperature control, there you can see here, plus minus is that always this two-step, press once. So this is more than maybe like 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit automatic, because changing that while driving is always a little bit more complicated. Also here, for example, for the seat heating, for the steering wheel heating, good to have it, definitely. But I think it could have been a little bit easier to access, especially while driving. Other than that, I think it's good that they use the Google support here, and that's ahead of most other manufacturers, honestly. So Volvo and Polestar have been using that for a long time. Renault then also jumped on board. Now recently Mercedes in the CLA, where they also use Google, but then don't use their interface, but their own like visual interface, you know, can also be discussed, definitely. Then here, more cool bright wood here, matte in the cup holder covering. This middle console has been rearranged that the inductive charging pad is more accessible. This one is not ventilated though, so the phones might overheat. Then you can slide this open here for adaptive cup holders. This is an option here for this crystalline shifting lever. Feels really nice. There you start the vehicle, and then here so also, this could be a little bit softer for your elbow, honestly. It's not too hard, it's okay, but could be a little bit softer for this vehicle. Then here, well attached, open this one, USB-C charging and more space underneath. So yeah, let's take a look here at this cockpit. As I said, real buttons here. Left side you can activate the cruise control or then the speed limit turning on and off. Just press here to the left. So that's cool. And then in the instruments you can also change if you want to have the map view or not, for example. And we also have a head-up display. Rear seats, first of all, inside of the door, once again with a nice leather red covering. Then you have these manual shades here. It's also cool. Bright wood, so beautiful. Same at the rear door. Also the lower part, I mean, yes, it's not a fabric covering, but it's this leather red covering, so you don't have like just hard black plastic. So that's actually pretty fancy. And I can just stress again that these fabric seats here, again, not everyone likes fabric seats, and some say it's not like premium or something, but I can't confirm that because they look cool and they are actually more comfortable than all the other seating choices, you know. The seats at Volvo are all good from the ergonomics, but I have to say that the fabric seats also in the rear are the best ones in the comfort. Yeah, very interesting. The only thing you feel here, I mean, is enough legroom here also. When I'm driving as a tall person, no problem. But for the length of the vehicle, you can see that the stress of the length is in the trunk and that it is also offering the 7-seater. That's why, you know, for the size of the vehicle, it could be more here theoretically, but it will be enough for all sizes basically. You can also slide these seats here backward and forward, actually individually. So also here this a little bit stronger here, so also this middle part, and you can also here change the inclination with all of the individual parts. You can fold this one down here in the middle. Yeah, this is a little bit strange part, honestly, so maybe there could be a better solution for that one here, and sometimes it will not close, so that's together with the engine hood opening my least favorite part about this vehicle. Cool idea that you here have this integrated child seat, so just like for this when children just need a little bit higher, and that's it. And of course for real child seats, ISOFIX on the outside each. None ISOFIX on the passenger seats though. We're going to check out the third seating row very soon. There have been some 5, 6, 7-seater configuration depending on the market. But it seems now with the facelift, I have seen no configurator yet which does not have the 7-seater configuration. It seems to me at this moment that they said, hey, most went for the 7-seater, let's just do the 7-seater and that's it, basically. Headroom here, by the way, it's also fine for tall people, so no problem even if you have the panoramic roof. And yeah, I mean, you sit relatively high. This is good for children, actually. So really good for children in the rear. Here, once again, also changing the inclination. And also when you fold the seats from here, for example, here when you fold them down, you can see that here, this lower part also moves a little bit forward and down. And then here, this head restraint is flexible. And then you really have a flat area. So that's actually a cool thing. This will come handy then very soon when we show you the trunk in our extended trunk review. This is pretty cool, definitely. Always in here you can always push the head restraints up again. But what about the third seating row? Now let's get to the third seating row. So you have a lever here on the top, and then you can slide and also push it a little bit more forward. And take off your shoes. So there we go. And we climb inside. And yeah, it's of course not that spacious. No ISOFIX for the third seating row, and I pushed this bench here a little bit forward so I could still sit in the second row, and then you can see, yeah, maybe for a short trip it would work headroom wise. It's not okay when I lean backward. I need to be forward a little bit in this in this hole like this, and yeah, you see here from knees it's like this. So it would work for not the tallest adults for shorter waist, but it's more again the thing of children are not that tall yet, but they're also not that small that they would need a real child seat, you know, so something between, but at least you have the flexibility. Trunk or boot is 640 liters if you have the 5-seater setup. So I'm going to show that to you. Electric hatch here, really large opening. This easily fits, of course, also in the third row. So this is the space you have then. This, by the way, the bag for the charging cable. So there we go. And then the length here behind the third row. This is here 24 inches or 60 centimeters. And the width, this here, 1 meter or 40 inches. And you can see here, it's actually wider than that. So this is more like 44 inches or 1 meter and 10. So pretty cool. And then here the height. Here we are at about 80 centimeters or 32 inches, and that is massive. And that shows you like this classic layout. And then here, it's cool that the head restraint folds. Fold this one down like this. Then we have the 5-seater setup, already a lot of space. And the length here then is 53 inches or 1 meter 35. That's already quite cool. And then of course we can fold these here. No remote lock from here whatsoever. So we fold this one down. Oh wait. There we go. Individual like this. And this, now we have the full setup. And let's see. The full length to the whole ruler here, yeah, is 2 meters or 78 inches, and it's more than that, you know, so it's more than 2 meters or 78 inches. That's pretty cool. And by the way, here you can fold up this here, this nice, that you maybe like just secure a backpack or something if it's not too much loading. Also some hangers here, and underneath here there's some more space, also a space for the charging cable. In this vehicle here I found something special accessory wise. Look at that. Oh, who do we have here? Oh, look at that. Oh, good girl, good girl. Oh, isn't she cute? Yeah, this is the dog box. So pretty cool. It's, you know, really heavy, really massive, and it's really made by Volvo. Very interesting. Cool story behind that. You can actually also lock it with the key if you want to, of course not for the dog, I mean, but if you want to use it maybe for storing some, I don't know, big valuables which you cannot grab from, I don't know, for what other reason that would be, but yeah, this is like how you open it. It's even here with the gas strut, like in the hood in the front, yeah, and then there's like a lot of space for the dog, and this here you can also take out and clean it, for example. Yeah, very interesting idea. And this here, that like the split, yeah, the other half would then be for luggage, and then you also have this securing here, you know, nothing, neither the dog nor the luggage can go to the front or can fall to the front. So pretty cool here. And the good thing is that it's really blending with the rest of the vehicle. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the updated Volvo XC90 here. Starting some nice corners here for you. First of all, the road is wet, but it's still very silent on the interior. So already here at the lower speeds, the new sound deadening works very well. You can also check out some different driving modes. Steering feel I've set to firm. Soft would be then just lighter. I know that Leah always prefers the softer steering feel, and yeah, I like when it's a little bit more feedback from the steering. It's okay, but it doesn't feel most natural, so you don't have the best connection like driver, car and road with that steering feel, because it still, even in the firm setting, is more like thin air. It feels a little bit disconnected, but it doesn't have a dead zone area. So it's not the worst definitely, but it doesn't convey a sporty driving feeling. And I can already tell you here from the first winding corners, this is something where they are not on par with the German manufacturers. It doesn't give you like great driving fun or something like that, you know, that's the thing. So it doesn't feel dynamic. It's not the main focus of this vehicle, but you just have to know that if you consider like this or a German vehicle or so on. Here we can also go to this power mode here, and then we can accelerate out. There we go. And that was like 40 to 70. Pretty quick. So this plug-in hybrid drivetrain of course can use both powertrains if you really need them. You can go back to the hybrid mode if you want to do the car, let do its thing. As I said, the pure electric range is about 50 kilometers, 30 miles, something in that region. And usually, even in the hybrid mode, it would use the electric power first and then go to the combustion engine. So it really then depends how often you recharge. And here with about 70 kilometers an hour, like 40 miles an hour, so far so good. Let's do one more power mode here, 70 to 100. Oh, that's already it. And so really quick, good response. There, of course, the T8 plug-in hybrid here has just so much more power than the B5 or B6 engine, especially than the B5 engine. So more spontaneous, instant acceleration, and you maybe also noticed that here on camera, even when looking at the speed. So I first got the electric boost, and then the combustion engine set in. And in that time where the combustion engine takes time to get going, I already got the first boost from the electric motor. And that's of course a cool thing if you just want more power. Here at the moment, what's also quite practical, I have the Google Maps in the instruments, like where I want to go. And on the right side, I can show you all the different driving modes and so on. That's actually fine. And here, once again, these bad weather conditions here, because up the mountain where we were filming all the static stuff, it was rather snow because it was higher and it was beautiful winter wonderland. But here a little bit lower, it turned into rain. And although this rain is kind of loud, and also from the tires once again when there's wet road, it's really nice and silent on the interior, considering I really feel that like the noise at the moment is coming from the rain on the windshield, but here from left and right there's nothing coming from the side window, so it's really good to have this optional insulation package. I can just recommend you to go for this one actually. Yeah, about the steering wheel once again, as I said, it has no dead zone area, so here also small commands are being transported on the road, but there's just not a real connection to the car. That's maybe the thing. And as I said, the driving fun and how good it feels in the corners, that is just better with the German manufacturers, definitely. And we have here the air suspension today that brings you more comfort, especially when the road is destroyed. At the same time, I gotta say that the B5 felt more agile because that non-air suspension is a little bit less floaty, and it depends what you like. If you more have going straight for longer periods of time and destroyed roads, then the air suspension will help you. If you say, I rather want to save for money and at the same time I want that the car feels a little bit sportier, then actually the base suspension could be a better idea for you. That is a very interesting thing, definitely, because as I said, the B5 felt more direct, felt sportier to drive than this one here. So yeah, about that. Very interesting finding. So it's maybe not always that the most expensive option is the best option to go for, right? So very interesting finding here with driving the T8. Of course, when you are in this electric mode, what is fitting to this vehicle, because it is so not really set on the sporty note, silent, luxurious, comfortable ride here also with the air suspension. And then when you have the T8, then you have you have the electric range, and then all is silent, all is good, you can relax, and here is really silent and calms you down. That's pretty cool actually. So it does fit to the vehicle when you drive it electric. The only thing I complained about earlier is that it should have been a battery upgrade here with this facelift. Yeah, there was this upgrade like a couple of years ago, but I think here together with the facelift would have been cool, definitely. So my driving modes, you can also pick pure, for example, for the pure EV driving, or off-road in that case. Then there's always the e-motor running together with the combustion engine, for example. You can also charge the battery while driving, but that's of course not efficient at all. And we have here the creep mode, so I can also deactivate it, and then the car is coming to a stop, like with the one pedal driving. It's interesting that you can actually change that here, right? So here now I'm starting on throttle, car is stopping again. Creep mode on, and I'm on the throttle, then the car is rolling forward until I stop it with the brake. So Similar, you can change it, because we could test it here now when we're standing at the traffic light. So similar from the settings you can do with an electric vehicle here, for example. You know, that's and it's super light in this interior. It's a good traveling feeling because you have so many so much glass around you that when you're traveling and see some nice like Bavarian landscape here, then you can also really enjoy that just from that visual perspective. So when you ask me comparison pre-facelift, now the facelift version, biggest difference is this insulation pack. When you get that it just brings more calmness to the interior. That's the main thing. And then the other main thing is rather really when you go for the B5, that you have like more power there. You have the mild hybrid, for example, which has been upgraded there in the B5. That is a bigger change then, because the mild hybrid engines now have more power. And of course, when you think about, like not necessarily the T8 again, because it hasn't changed that much, and also not about the air suspension, because it's also unchanged. Really, if you think about the base configuration with the new standard suspension, that one then improved in comparison to the pre-facelift standard suspension. And I was really looking forward here to drive the T8 and to get some more insight of that. But it's of course cool with this float. I like when the air suspension is a floaty ride, when you can realize that it's an air suspension. But I have to say that the base suspension did ride astonishingly well, at least when I tested it last time. So that it really leaves the question is, do you need that extra stuff, T8 here, the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, I mean, I really enjoy driving this one here all electric, because these 2-liter 4-cylinders, as soon as they go, like hop on, as soon as they're really on, then they don't sound best, they don't have the most power, they're not the most efficient ones. So driving it all electric is nice and fun, definitely. But it's more definitely a taxation thing when you can have just lower monthly costs with this plug-in hybrid. Other than that, it's also fine if you go for a base XC90, because even in the entry trim, it doesn't need so many more options. The most stuff you need is already standard equipment. And then you can just go with the Nordico leatherette seats, for example, and go with the B5 engine, and that's it. And you don't necessarily need to spend more money on that. So when there's one finding here from the T8 and also with the high trim, is that it's a nice ride, definitely, pretty cool, relaxing, but that the lower trim version also works very well, and you do not need the highest trim of this vehicle here. And let's go to the motorway. You can also already put the power mode on one more time, or we can do some acceleration. Here in these corners here, when you're getting on or off the motorway, then you feel that it's a little bit that you're like steering a ship, a boat, and not like an agile SUV, which is not the focus of this vehicle. You just have to be aware of that, just to know that, and then it's actually fine. So this is then the main difference if you then consider like an X5, X7, for example, depending on which size you actually want to go then for. So here, just see if you can get on here. The Smart doesn't want to accelerate, so now we can accelerate to some like 70 to 130. Let's go. That was 70 to 120 because that guy in front of us will not accelerate. There we go. Yeah, always keep enough distance. Well, I think it's still fine, as long as you have enough e-power left, then it's actually totally fine. Go back to the hybrid mode, relax again. Now 130 kilometers an hour. So there is a massive difference again with the insulation here from the side side windows. But here now at 130 kilometers an hour, I cannot necessarily say that it's the most silent experience overall. Gotta say that. Here now, by the way, also the adaptive cruise control is on. I can also set it to like that it steers for us. And here also distance is kept to the car in front of us. Let's see also like the steering when the motorway now makes a slight right, if the steering is nervous or not. Let's see about that. It does some I need to hold on, sorry about that. But here, holding on, now a little bit to the right. Let's see how smooth this is being done. So far so good, now accelerating out. Yeah, you feel some corrections here back and there from the steering, but it's overall in these situations so far fine. But honestly, here at about 130 kilometers an hour, because we couldn't drive that fast last time in Sweden, I would have expected it to be a little bit more silent with this new installation pack. So it seems to be working extremely well for everything which is like 100 kilometers, 60 miles, including. But this large rear wiper from the wind is also pretty cool. So just a remark to that. Here at 130 kilometers an hour, it's still okay, it's fine. But honestly, yeah, I would have expected that it's maybe even a little bit better, honestly. So there are competitors that are more silent. And gotta say though that from here it's then relatively silent with this dual installation. The noise rather comes, I don't know, maybe from the front, also maybe just the whole building style of the vehicle, because it really pushes, of course, against the wind. You know, the whole vehicle has this old school atmosphere. That's why we also have so much space on the inside. Yeah, but that's again, it fits to the scheme of the vehicle, that everything you see statically is fantastic, like the materials, the touch, the space you have, the comfort and so on, awesome, and actually better than most competitors. But as soon as you start driving, there you can realize it's not their main specialty, like this driving, you know, how it behaves, how much fun it is, and insulation and so on. So with 130 kilometers an hour, it's still fine. But as I said, it's not the best. Oh, now the sun is coming out. Nice. So it's a very interesting area here, by the way. This is the border region between Austria and Germany. Beautiful area, always worth a visit, definitely. And unlimited speed in Germany. Let's go. 160 and 170, almost 180. That's enough for now. Yeah, you feel that like suspension and steering wise, it's not the most ideal things to feel safe when really high speeds actually, but yeah, I mean, noise insulation wise, it's now fine again, I feel. So there's not much difference when we're driving really, really fast. So that's actually quite cool. So yeah, positively surprised about that now. So this new insulation does a good job. It always depends on like where the wind is coming from, though. Yeah, it's almost constantly changing. That's really interesting. So here from the side, it's really, really silent. It's just really from the front, you know, like now, like when the car is pushing a lot of wind away in the front, like a lot of air away. Now it gets really loud, like 170, but that's still fine, you know. I don't know, it's kind of like sometimes inconsistent. It almost feels like it matters a lot in which direction of the wind you are driving with this vehicle because of this typical building form. Yeah, so but definitely this new noise insulation pack brought a lot. And then of course it depends on the speed and also obviously in which direction you are driving, of how you conceive it then here on the interior. And talking about the all-wheel drive, now really winterly conditions, hardly can see a thing here. Drove up the mountain even higher, and just to see a difference here when I'm, for example, in a normal driving mode, the hybrid mode here with the T8, and then I'm like too hard on the throttle, I feel like ESC is working and more from the front. But when I'm putting the all-wheel drive mode, although the battery is depleted here at the moment and I hit the throttle, ESC also working, but I get going better. You know, I feel that the car is working in the rear. You know, I could also put it a little bit, you know, a little bit around and so on. You know, I would have to deactivate the ESC for that. There's another XC90. So you feel that although the battery is officially depleted, I still have the all-wheel drive available. As for the consumption with the mild hybrid last time, with the B5, we had some 9 liters on 1 kilometers, 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. And the thing is that it was like a good consumption figure, not too high speeds. If you go more high-speed Autobahn in Germany, this will be a worse figure. As for the T8, the plug-in hybrid, it's of course always tricky to say about, what's the real consumption, because it depends, like how often do you recharge and do you mainly drive electric? What's the share? If the battery is completely empty, it will be similar to the B5. Only that you hear, let's say you drive down the mountain, then you have more capacity to, gain back some energy than with a mild hybrid only. So in this case, it will be better. But if you go long-term high-speed motorway with empty battery, this will be rather maybe a little bit worse. So something that area with the plug-in hybrid, you can always say it depends. Pricing-wise, very interesting. In Europe, Germany, for example, prices go from about 80,000 to 100,000 euros. This very spec here, 103,000 euros with all the bells and the whistles. But there's not much difference between the base and the high trim version. That's a good thing, actually. And last time we had the B5, which is more closer to the 80,000 euro thing. The US dollar prices are more or less like, if you look at this one here, minus 20,000, so you can get this one for about like $80-something thousand with the high spec. And the thing is that, especially now with the facelift, the entry-level model works better because of this new update suspension. Then this insulation pack, this optional one, you should maybe an option you should get, because that really helps to bring down the noise volume and so on. So I think it also works in the base trim very well, even from the interior and so on. This one in here, the T8, makes sense, price-wise on the base price not, but it makes sense when it brings you taxation benefits in your country. For example, in Germany, when you have it as when you're self-employed and take it as a company vehicle, or also if you're employed somewhere and take it as a company vehicle, you only pay half the taxes per month for the private use. That's where then the T8 makes sense. And of course, also if you say, hey, I want to commute electrically to work, maybe you have a short route to work, or you want to drive without emission in the city, recharge at the wallbox and so on, and save some of the fuel, maybe like when you think about the Scandinavian markets where energy prices are way lower than, for example, in Germany, then of course also the T8 makes sense. But with the B5, there's also the good offer, as an alternative if you don't want to spend so much money. So me personally, for me, probably the taxation thing would be worth more actually so I would effectively pay less for the car, although the price is higher, because of the taxation thing. Other than that, the P5 also does its job definitely. And the interior, really good that it's in most specs all animal free, unless you go for that option. But they have plenty of good choices. The fabric we've seen today, but if you don't like the fabric, you have the high-grade leatherette, which also looks pretty cool. And you can also wipe it clean. So good interior, and also this space you have on the interior, so unique. The only thing is, of course, with this space on interior, like this boxy styling of the vehicle, you have a vehicle that is quite high in the consumption. That's of course a thing. And also driving dynamics, it cannot catch up with the German competitors. That's not the main thing about this vehicle, but with the facelift, also more silent on the interior. And this classic approach of the car is exactly the reason why it's still relevant and attractive on the market. These are my 2 cents about it. What do you think? Tell me your feedback about this vehicle in the comments. And now check out the B5 version, or of course some of the competitors.